Today we've got Joe Fellini on the podcast. He's very popular on Twitter and Instagram. He took a trip recently to Ireland. He tells us all about that. He tells us all about the trip he's planning for Scotland and some of the trips he's taken here in the States as well. Thank you so much and enjoy. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Travel Worldy Podcast. Today we have Joe Fellini. He is a golf specialist. Kind of popular on Twitter and Instagram, right? Have some followers, loves Lynx Golf. So we're going to dive into everything about his life, his trips, and some of the stuff over in the British Isles. Joe, thank you for being on with us.
Oh, no problem. Great. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. I like that we both have some flags in our background. That's
absolutely
both yellow. It's great. It's a great start to our podcast today.
For sure. I got that's actually signed by Mickelson.
Oh, well, we're gonna get into that later, aren't we?
Yeah,
all right,
for sure.
All right. So let's go ahead and start off with your social media pages and how you began promoting your golf and how you kind of got some followers through social media.
Well, a lot of it was just me being on Twitter and I focused only on golf. As a matter of fact, when I started, I'm pretty sure in my bio I said I did not come here for politics. So stay away from that. And really just the only people I follow are golfers for the most part, and golf fans. And it just kind of grew from there because I started talking about some of the trips I was on. I used to post a lot of pictures. My buddy and I think we've been on probably 10 golf trips together.
Yeah.
So I just kept piling pictures on there and people started to, one person would see it and then their friends would see it and their friends would start following. But the big explosion was September when I went to Ireland and just kept posting picture after picture and video after video. And I think the folks who are in the States who had never been to Ireland before really enjoyed that part of the trip.
Yeah. And we'll get into that trip a little later. So how did golf begin for you?
Honestly, I was just a guy who in high school, my buddies and I, the town I lived in, Norwood, Massachusetts, had a driving range. And we just used to go there and pound balls just to see who could hit them the furthest and try to hit them over the net and stuff like that. Never took the game seriously. So for a few years, it was really just being at the driving range, having fun, hitting balls. And then I said, I should learn how to play this game because once you're out of school, you're not playing any team sports or anything. So just started playing. I took a couple of lessons, not too many. My swing at the time was really self-taught and it was an awful swing, but some guys can make it work. So did that for a long time. I got to the point where I was okay and started going to the, I don't know what they call it now. It's the World Am down in Myrtle Beach, but back then it used to be called the DuPont World Amateur. And huge tournament. I mean, they use every course in Myrtle Beach and they have like 1,000 people come to play in this tournament. And you play 4 different courses, 4 different days. And that's when I really started to get serious about playing golf.
Sweet. Golf is very addicting. It kind of consumes your life once you get started. And then everything you do after, obviously, you're playing sports in high school. I played football and baseball. Now that I'm done with football, it is just everything golf. And it's going to get bad because I don't have anything else to waste my time on. I got a new job, a company, and golf. That's it.
Well, I have my wife to keep me in line a little bit. So that kind of works out well.
I do. Yeah, I got my wife. I actually told her, I said, last weekend, I didn't play 1 round of golf. And this week I'm playing 2 rounds. So I kind of took my round from last week and I'm carrying over.
Right. Well, my wife and I have been married. Well, we've been together for about 13 years, married for 8. And early on, I started doing the buddy trips. So she kind of knew that was an annual thing. So that kind of helped out a lot. It was kind of already in the rotation of things to do.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Well, with the new company, Royal Lynx Golf Tours, Jeff is my partner and my father-in-law. So my wife obviously is his daughter. So she understands that I'm going to have to go on trips. I have to. And, she just, it's the business. She has to understand. So,
Absolutely. I mean, the company I work for, when I had a different role, used to send me to Italy for 5 weeks every year.
oh, wow.
So not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
Well, we're announcing an Italy trip soon, a couples Italy trip. We're going to play a Marco Simone golf course in 2022, where they're going to be
Nice.
playing the Ryder Cup venue. So we are going to be we're planning that with a Italy tour operator, and kind of like a joint trip. And we're going to be announcing that within the next couple months. So it's a really
Good for
exciting
you.
trip. We're going to have like 4 rounds, 9 days, Tuscany, Rome. It's going to be really fun. So we got a spot for you and your wife.
Oh
You're
boy,
ready.
that I'd have to talk to her about.
I don't think she'd be too upset about going to
No, it's
Italy
just
for
a
9
matter of
days.
what we already have going for next year. We travel a lot with my in-laws, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
because they're getting older, and we want to make sure they see as much of the world as they can. So, but I'll
You
definitely
guys-
let you know.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just messing with you. So, all right, let's get to that flag behind you, signed by Mickelson. And back in June, you had a pretty cool experience with Twitter and him retweeting one of your tweets. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, he actually responded, which was
That's right.
was just the weirdest thing. Someone I follow, I think it's the Caddy Network. They had posed the question: the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines will be blank. And being a huge Phil fan, the first thing I thought to write was, I wrote, the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines will be meh, unless Phil is in the hunt. And then the next day, underneath, Phil wrote, I feel the same.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. I love that
Yeah, so it was
Phil
wild.
interacts with his fans so much. He's really a character and fun to be around. It's fun to be a fan of Phil. I'll say that.
Absolutely. And even better when he gets on social media. Since he's been on social media, it's just a
Yeah.
whole new world to
Oh, I
follow.
know. I'm sure you got to watch the Capital One matches when he was fun to watch with Bryson.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the U.S. Open next year. Is going to be right up the street here in Brookline, Massachusetts, at the Country Club. And
Okay.
obviously, after winning a Kiowa, he qualifies for everything. So hopefully, Phil will be here in 9 months. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, we know you have a love for Lynx Golf and the British Isles. Tell us a little bit about how that love was created and how you got started with Lynx Golf.
Sure. Well, if you look at the courses that are at the top of my list that I've played even before I went to Ireland, it seems like the common theme is scenery, layout, things like that. When you stand on a tee, the view that you have, like to this day, my favorite course I've played is Kiowa. And, you stand on that 14th tee and you're looking out and you can see the rest of the back nine. You can see the ocean over on the right. And, then I started seeing pictures of courses in Ireland and I'm saying, geez, this is, Kiowa on steroids over there. When you see the mounding and everything that they have at places like Ballybunion and Lahinch and Tralee. And, that's what got me excited about it. Was I said, wow, look at this. I can't imagine what it's going to be like to stand on this tee and be walking down these fairways that have 40-foot hills on each side. And you're just self-contained like you're on the moon.
Yeah.
And that's what got me excited about it. And that's why I decided to go to Ireland.
So you recently got back from an Ireland trip, right? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we had a great time. We really did. We started off at Old Head, which when I talk to people who have played it, the way that people talk about it is almost like the way people talk about Tobacco Road here. And I've had a lot of people come up to you and say, what do you think? I've never played Tobacco Road. What do you think about it? And I always say to people, you'll either love it or hate it, but you got to play it.
Okay.
And that's kind of what people in Ireland feel about Old Head. They either love it or hate it. They love the land, but they think that some people think the course is kind of pedestrian. I loved it. I mean, the views, like I said, I'm a scenery guy. So I thought the views of the course were unbelievable because it just sticks out on a peninsula by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was down by Kinsale on the southern side of Ireland. And then we made our way up to the West Coast and we played Tralee, which was Arnie's course, which was just spectacular. And then Waterville, Dukes, who are both on the Ring of Kerry.
Yeah.
And then we moved even further north, and that's when we finished the trip with Ballybunion and Lahinch. And just unbelievable golf courses. And they all had their own little thing too, you know, that made them different. You can't look at Ireland courses and Ireland links courses and say, oh, they kind of all look the same. Because in pictures they might, but when you get there, they all have their own little thing that's really, really makes them different from every other course.
Yeah, I got you. So when you were in Ireland, what kind of activities did y'all do besides golf?
Not too much, to be honest with you. We went and we saw the Cliffs of Moher, which was cool.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a thing over there that's called having a crack. And what that means is that you go to a pub and you sit and you chat with people. And that's a big social thing over there. And it's great. If you read Tom Coyne's book about Ireland, it's in there a lot. And we were lucky that the first night we were there, we went into a pub in Cancellation and we're just sitting at the bar. And all of a sudden, this couple from Limerick that were on vacation, they were sitting next to us, and you just start chatting about the United States and Ireland. And that's what is a big thing over there. And then the other thing that was pretty cool was when we were in Killarney was when the government lifted the ban on live music. So, with COVID and everything. So we went to a pub in Killarney, and it was the first night they had live music. And let me tell you, that place was popping. Yeah. So it was really, really, really a lot of fun. And, the people over there are great. Everybody we dealt with, I thought, was phenomenal. Whether it be the hotels, the golf courses, the pubs, the restaurants, just everybody I thought was really great.
How much, on Twitter, how much do you have to dedicate to posting pictures and tweeting? How much do you dedicate to that?
Well, it a lot of times it's just spur of the moment for me,
Natural.
really. I mean, I'll be standing on a golf course and I'll take a picture. I'll look at my camera on my phone and say, that came out pretty good. And, I'll just be on the next tee while the other three guys are hitting their balls, and I'll just pop it on real quick. Or sometimes I'll wait till the end of the day and just blast them all on there. It's a little easier on Instagram because I think you can put like 10 pictures at once, whereas Twitter you can only put 4. So that's why Twitter, I kind of piecemealed it along as I went along the course, and people seemed to like it because they felt like they were there walking with me, which was kind of neat.
Yeah. So were these courses that you've never played before
in Ireland?
Yeah.
This was our first trip to Ireland ever.
What was your biggest surprise going to Ireland?
As far as golf goes, it was a course called Dukes, which actually a friend of mine that I grew up with and went to high school with, he had been to Ireland, and he said, you're not going to hear people talk about this course, but just trust me and put it on the itinerary.
Yeah.
So we played it, and it was just two things about it were very cool. One was the people that were there were the best. I mean, the pro went out of his way to come and talk to us. The greenskeeper came out and bumped into us on the golf course, and he was so proud of some of the work that he did. So he stood there and he was telling us all these things that he did on the golf course, which was just really cool to get that insight. And the course I thought was really neat because some of them, they meander through the hills and everything, and they make their way along like a classic link course. But it was funny the way I described the Dukes to people was it looked like you had this big piece of land and someone just dropped fairways and greens from above, just in spots. So it wasn't like it was carved out or anything like that, like you'll see, especially with US courses. But it just looked like they took the land that was there, they dropped fairways, they dropped greens, and said, here it is. So we really liked Dukes. We thought that was a neat experience.
So would you say that was your favorite course on the trip, or was there a better course that you liked better?
Well, my favorite course on the trip was Ballybunion. And we played the old course at Ballybunion, and it was just spectacular. I'll tell you a story. We got there a day early, and we checked into our hotel, which was literally right across the street. And then we were within 3 days. So that was the day we went to go get our COVID test to come home. So we ran to 10 minutes away, and we were coming back. I said to my buddy, you want to go to the pro shop? And grab a Guinness and I'll tell you, we went upstairs to the restaurant, which overlooks the golf course. You can see 18 one way and 1 the other way. And we went out on the patio and standing there. And I said to my buddy I was traveling with, I said, do you remember that scene in Rudy when the dad walked into Notre Dame Stadium for the first time? And I think he said to his son, "This is the most beautiful thing these old eyes have ever seen."
Yeah.
That's exactly what I felt like standing there. I said, this is the majesty of it. I mean, with the big hills that you see, and you look down the first hole and there's an old cemetery on the right side of the first hole, and then playing it the next day was just spectacular. I mean, the way that it's laid out and everything is awesome.
I can only imagine. So would you say that was your most memorable moment of the trip? Do you have a couple others?
Well, yeah, getting in a car on the other side and driving on the other side of the road for the first time was pretty memorable.
I'm scared for that.
Well, we were lucky because when you come out of we had to go to Cancellation right from the Dublin airport, and we were lucky that it was highway. We got on a highway pretty fast. Yeah. So I was driving. All I did was I just tucked myself over in the slow lane and said, "I'm going to learn how to drive this car over here in the slow lane." And by the time we got to Cancellation, of course, we missed a couple of streets and stuff to find our hotel. But if you go over there, get an automatic, because you do not want a manual, because those roads, some of them are tight, man. Like I'll never forget the road to go to Tralee is about 1.5 cars wide. And you have to understand, on both sides of almost every, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, both sides of almost every road in Ireland has burns, hills on both sides. So you really can't stray off the road too much. And then there's a little ditch. And the running joke was that people said to me before I went, because who's on the left side is on the outside of the road.
Yeah.
And people would always say, if there's a car coming at you, put your buddy in the ditch. So the guy who's sitting with you, put him in the ditch, because you're going to move over to get around that car. So that was a pretty interesting experience. And I bought the insurance on the car, didn't need it, which was awesome.
It's always bittersweet.
Yeah, right. But I was happy I had it, let me tell you, because we did tick the side view mirror a couple of times. So that was pretty memorable. And the people are what's the most memorable. I mean, just everybody that we talked to, they went out of their way to help. I know that it's a tourist industry, and I get that, but still, the people at hotels, the people at golf courses, they just really went out of their way, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, that's one of the main things I've heard is the relationships that you find with whether it's members there or just people who live there in the town. Everybody's so welcoming, and the conversations spark a lot of interest with people coming over like tourists like you. So They love it,
and they love us, and they love our money, which is a good thing.
Yeah, honestly,
and the funny thing is you have to be careful if you do something like rank courses or say you liked this one more than that one, because boy, I did not make Tralee my favorite golf course, and I caught some blowback for that. Let me tell you, because there's people. Well, people loved it, and to me, it's a really nice course. The backside I thought was maybe the best 9 we played, but the front side was a little pedestrian, to be honest. I mean, they're working on it, and it's getting way better. But I mean, to compare it to Ballybunion, you just can't. To compare it to Lahinch, you just can't. I mean, Lahinch was phenomenal too, and that was our last day, and we had a lot of fun there too.
So did you do some rankings and stuff on Twitter and got some backlash?
I did. I ranked the courses on the trip, and
oh no,
that was the one that's the one I got the blowback on. Was I ranked Tralee 4th on the list, behind Ballybunion, Lahinch, and Waterville, which I thought was spectacular. And how about this? We were there in September in Ireland, and we caught an 80-degree day the day we played Waterville, and it was awesome. Let me tell you,
getting above 80,
right,
75.
Absolutely, a lot, because the rest of the trip we were in the 60s, and maybe touched 70 a couple of times. So to hit it that day was
that's okay,
phenomenal. It was great.
I'm happy with that.
And that was one thing I was going to say to you was, the best advice I can give for people is pack for every weather possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to bring it with you. I mean, if you're in a big group and you've got a driver in a van, you can leave stuff in the van if you know that day you're not going to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you rent a car, you can leave it in the trunk if you know you're not going to use it. Everybody told me don't even bother bringing your umbrella, so I didn't even put my umbrella on the bag because they said it's not going to help because if it's rainy, it's windy, and the umbrella will just get ruined anyway.
Nice. So what other responses did you get from Twitter? Did you get some people that you met there to follow you?
A few, but then I also met some people there who were actually following me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was neat. Like Dot, who was a caddy at Ballybunion. He's a really cool guy, and I wish I could have had him as our caddy was great, but I wish I could have had Dot as our caddy.
Yeah.
And he came over to us on the first tee. He said, "Joe," and I said, "Yeah," and he said,
Wow.
"Hey, I'm Dot." And I said, "Oh my God, Dot, how you doing?" And then we came off the 18th green at La Hinch, and the same thing happened. The guy who runs their Twitter account was right there waiting, and we're like, all right, this is kind of interesting.
That's awesome.
And I guess that's because that was a course where I was posting pictures as I went along.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that he saw that I was posting pictures as I went.
For sure.
But yeah, it was kind of neat. And then of course there are some people over there that I did meet that I now connected with on Twitter, like our caddy at Ballybunion. I've connected with him, and he would go back and forth because he runs a Gaelic football league for little kids. So it's kind of neat to see because you don't understand the sport over here.
Yeah.
But it's a cross of like 5 different sports.
Yeah, not a lot of people even know that sport exists.
Right. It's like hurling, same thing. People don't know that exists either. And someone said to me, if you ever come back, you got to go see hurling. It's wild.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw water polo in the Olympics, and I'm like, that people actually do that. That's so. Maybe that's a different take, a wild take on my part, but yeah, I didn't know. Have you been seeing the Hasbula little kid on social media?
No.
The little fighter, a Russian fighter.
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
So Dave Portnoy was on their podcast, and they announced that he is actually like 20 years old.
No way.
20 years old. I had no idea, and Dave had absolutely no idea. Like, we all thought he was like maybe 5 years old.
Right.
No, he is 20. And
oh my God, that's hysterical.
It's very, very surprising, and it makes more sense now because I was wondering how this little kid is so fluent in his language, and
right.
So it makes you look at it a little differently. You might go check it out.
I definitely will now.
He's a funny or funny guy. I shouldn't say little. So he's about almost as old as me. But so on this trip, if anything, would you change anything on the trip?
There's probably 2 things I would change. One, may not self-drive again. And that kind of ties into the second one. And, the best advice I can give people is shrink the radius of your trip. Yeah. When you're looking at a trip, don't try to go all over the country in one trip and run from, Old Head on the southern coast all the way up to Donegal and Sligo and up that way. And which is even further north than we went. And I would say shrink your radius. I mean, heck, you can go right in that little pod in Southwest around the Ring of Kerry, and you can play. We didn't even get to play Doonbeg, which is by Tralee and Ballybunion. We didn't get to play Hogshead, Killarney. All those golf courses are right there, and you could make a hell of a trip just staying in that one spot. I know you could do that up north as well. You can go to Sligo, and you can play Carn and Enniscrone and Sligo, and you can go even further north, and that's when you get into Ballyliffin and Rossapena and what's the other great? There's another great course up there that I can't think of, but shrink your radius of your trip because I think you'll enjoy it a lot more because everybody says it. You spend a lot of time on the road when you do an Ireland golf trip. Yeah. And especially if you're trying to see all the best courses and play all the best courses, just pick that spot, try to place it. Like I thought Killarney, when we stayed in Killarney, was a great landing point because you had all the courses on the Ring of Kerry, and then we went to Tralee from there. So, you can certainly put together a hell of a trip and not have to drive 100, 150 miles every day.
Yeah, I had the director of golf at Raspina a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and they just added a course. So they now have 3 courses there and a couple courses nearby. And they're really supporting the, stay and play aspect that you can do in Scotland, where you can go to a hotel, stay the whole week, and play 7 courses within the radius of where you're staying. Right. And that's what we support that too. At least no more than 2 places. So you can maybe go to a place, play 3 or 4 courses, go to another hotel, play 3 courses, and it's a solid trip. But I definitely agree with you. Not wanting to drive 3 or 4 hours a couple times in your trip makes it less fun for sure.
Yeah, and we also want to make sure that hopefully at some point the Shannon Airport gets an agreement with Aer Lingus and starts flying in there again, because we were supposed to fly in and out of Shannon, which is on the West Coast, north of Kerry in that area. And all of a sudden in July, we got an email from them saying your flight's been canceled. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. What do you mean we've been canceled? So I went online and I started, looking at the day before, the day after, the 2 days before, 2 days, everything was canceled. And I said, this isn't right. So they said, you'll get an email. We'll be in touch with you. And working in the travel agency as long as I have, I said, no. I got on the phone right away. I called Aer Lingus. I was on hold for an hour. And they finally picked up. I said, what's going on? They said, our agreement with Shannon is over. I said, okay, so what's our option? They said, fly to Dublin. That's your only option. So I said, well, okay, let's get those flights done as fast as we can. So luckily we were able to book our flights for the same days. It just added to the drive time. That was all, because we spent most of our time on the West Coast of the country.
How's the drive when you're driving down? Is it near the coast or is it just farmlands?
Course to course is a lot of farmland. But when you leave Dublin and you go to Kinsale, or you're coming back from Lahinch to go to Dublin to the airport, there's highways that you can get on, which is great. But there's a lot of small roads. Like I said earlier, it's interesting, and I couldn't imagine, and they're hilly too. So that's why when I said you probably don't want a manual over there, you're going to be, And I told somebody, they said, what was it like driving over there? I said, it was like playing Mario Kart. It was just, the steering wheel's going back and forth. And I couldn't imagine trying to shift. Oh, by the way, with my left hand shifting. So I wouldn't have liked that at all.
No, thank you. Yeah, we have a partner in Ireland, Kerry Coaches, and they have tons of cars, different cars, buses, even charter buses. So we definitely recommend getting a driver.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for people who are on the fence, thinking about taking a trip, we're always are wanting to get into Lynx Golf and take their first trip to Scotland or Ireland. What was the one thing that really brought you to the realization that I'm going to do this, I'm going to book this?
Well, part of it was the Lynx experience. You'll never see anything like that over here. I mean, there's courses that try to be Lynx courses over here, but Kia was awesome as kind of a Lynx course. But you'll never have that experience over here. And the other thing is the history. I mean, you look at places like Ballybunion, Tralee's not that old, but especially Lahinch. I mean, you stand there and you say, okay, so old Tom Morris designed this course. And then it was updated by Alistair Mackenzie. Yeah. And if you're an architect person, you're saying, wait a minute, come on. Yeah. I'm walking on a course that those two actually worked on. And, it blows my mind. That's like when you were just talking about Russell Penna, they have a course up there called the old Tom Morris course. Yeah. That he came over from Scotland and designed that one too. So if you're a history person and you love golf architecture, I think Ireland's just a spectacular place to go to. It's filled with amazing. Yeah, you go to Lahinch and you play. There's a hole. I think it's the 5th hole in Lahinch. Is called the Dell, and it's a par 3, about 55 yards. But you have to hit over a 30-foot high hill. So you don't see the green at all. What they do is they have a big white rock
Yeah.
and they put it on the hill where the pin is behind it. So the pin is behind the white rock and you're just hitting to a completely blind green. And it was just a cool experience. And you don't see a lot of that here. You see a little bit of stuff like that, say at I know there's a hole on the back nine at Tobacco Road that's like that, which is pretty much a blind shot into the green. But things like that are just so cool because they're different.
Mm-hmm. So the next Ireland trip, what are a couple main courses that you're going to want to play?
I think I definitely go north to the northwest because that just seems to be the area that's blowing up. I'd look at that County Sligo area. So you'd have the County Sligo course, you'd have Carn, Strandhill, and Estrone looks unbelievable. And then I would just go further north up to Rosapena.
I got 3 good courses there.
They got 3 courses there.
Sandy Hills.
Yeah.
Old
and they say
Town
St.
Woods.
Patrick's is the new one's coming in really nice.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
I'm
we talked
excited
a lot
for
about
that.
it.
And then Narn and Port New, which is between Sligo and Rosapena, is a really nice Gil Hands course that he did. So I think that would be
that one's got great
where
views.
I'd look to go next. Yeah,
that one's got really great views. If I remember correctly, the pictures that I've posted with. I'm so excited to. I'm doing my first Ireland trip next year as well. So,
awesome.
Super excited to get my first Lynx experience in. You're getting me excited for sure.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
So you are taking your next trip and it's going to be in Scotland this time. So tell us a little bit about that plan and a couple of the courses that you're going to play. Yeah,
that's the next big trip. So that's why, everybody's going to let their wallet recuperate after Ireland for a year. And, we're going to look at doing something small here in the States next year, most likely, unless, something comes out of the blue. Yeah. And then 2023, I've already got 7 guys in a snap that said they would go. And so we're already working on building that trip. And it looks like it would be 2 parts of the country. So it's starting St. Andrews. We play St. Andrews Old, St. Andrews New, Kings Barnes. And then a friend of mine who lives in Scotland said, if you're in that area, you've got to play Dumbarnie, which is a newer course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he just raved about it. He said, you just got to play it. So, me being the ringleader, I kind of went back and forth on, hell, there's enough courses that we could just stay in St. Andrews and keep playing. We could play Carnoustie, we could play Muirfield, all that. And I said, if we're going to Scotland and we may only go over for one time, let's go see another part of the country. So I think we'll do those 4 courses in Scotland, St. Andrews area. And then I think we'll go over to the West Coast and play Prestwick, just because of the history.
Yeah.
Royal Troon, and then Turnberry.
Yeah. If you want more information on Dumbarnie, Jeff got to play it, and he
awesome.
Yeah, he played it a couple months ago. He was one of the first Americans, and he said that it was amazing and breathtaking. So just another reason for you to put it on the list. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's nice because, the other 6 guys on the trip basically said, just build it, let us know how much it is and when we're going, and we'll go from there.
Nice.
So it works out well that I kind of have a little bit of freedom in building the trip. And, because when I go to them and I say Dumbarnie, they're going to say, what the heck is Dumbarnie? But
nobody knows really.
Yeah. But having a friend who lives in Scotland, who's a PGA pro over there, who said, you got to play this course. So that's why I put it on the list.
What PGA pro, what course is he at?
I don't think he is anymore. He was in the past. His name's Sean Bissett, and really nice guy. We actually got to hook up with him in 2019. Our trip was to Scottsdale, and he happened to be in Arizona at the time. And I said, hey, you want to play with us? Let me know. Here's the courses we're playing. Here's the days. So he was actually free the day that we played Wickenburg Ranch out there. And what a great course. A hidden gem. Let me tell you, the problem is it's so far away from Scottsdale. I think it's like an hour drive, but boy, what a golf course.
Yeah. So y'all have an idea of taking a break from British Isles for 1 year and doing a trip here. What do y'all have something in the works?
We got a couple of ideas. Obviously Wisconsin has always been on the list, and we just keep seeming to push it out.
Yeah.
But I'd love to get to Sand Valley and Mammoth Dunes and Lasonia, Century World. and then head over to Kola, obviously, and play the big boys over in Kola. Another trip that we might do, which is kind of a sleeper, was to do a road trip to upstate New York and make some stops on the way, some stops back, and play. There's a course in Western Massachusetts that we keep saying we're going to play, and we never have. It's named Taconic, which is a very old course that Williams College uses as their home course. And then we thought we'd go out to Turning Stone to the casino.
Yeah.
I had been out there once and I played one of the courses there, but they have 2 more. So we thought we'd go out there for a couple of days and then stop in Cooperstown on the way home. And there's a great course in Cooperstown called Leatherstocking, which is in the top 5 publics in New York, and play there and then come back. And that would be the end of the New York trip.
Where are you living right now?
Just down by Foxborough, outside of Boston. Not too far. I'm about.
It wouldn't be not too bad of a trip up there, would it?
No, 5 hours.
Yeah,
to get to Turning Stone, not bad at all. Yeah, and then of course, everybody would want to see the Baseball Hall of Fame while we're in Cooperstown, so bang that out as well. And that's what I try to do. I try to incorporate something like that into the trip. When we were in Scottsdale, the day we got there, Arizona State was playing Southern Cal in football. So I got us tickets for that, and we went to that game, and that was pretty cool. And it's kind of neat to add something to the trip that's kind of different, rather than just you got your head down and you're going constantly. That's why I said if we went back to Ireland, I'd certainly try to find a hurling match and go see what that's all about.
That would be fun.
Or Gaelic football, one or the other, whatever's in season when we go.
Maybe some soccer. Or football over there.
Right. But from what guys tell me that are over there, it's not. It's not like they have a Premier League like they have in the UK or Syria.
Scotland, maybe. And if you maybe take a trip to England, there's definitely some good teams down there.
Absolutely. That Premier League in England is unbelievable.
Yeah. So, Joe, what's your favorite post-round beverage? You're in Ireland. You go to a pub.
Well, if you're in Ireland, it's got to be a Guinness. I mean, in the end, you have to go and get a Guinness, and people will look at you. Yeah, people will look at you funny. And I'll tell you a funny story, Hayden. I had never had a Guinness in my life, and my buddy that I was going to Ireland with, about 2 weeks before the trip, we met up at a restaurant we go to all the time here in Massachusetts, and I saw they had it. We were sitting at the bar, and I saw they had it, and I know the bartender. I said to her, I said, "Can you give me just like a shot glass of Guinness? I got to see what this tastes like." Because when you see them pour it, it looks like it's molasses coming out. And I'm saying, I am not. Yeah. And I'm saying, I am not going to like this. And then I tried it and I was like, this is good. This is good. So I pretty much had Guinness the whole time I was there. My buddy I went with, he mixed it up a couple of times, and he had Jameson and ginger a couple of times. But yeah, that was pretty much it. And and it's funny too, because if you go into the restaurant or the bar at any golf course in Ireland after you play your round, every American's got a Guinness in front of them.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like that's what you do. Yeah, when in Rome type thing. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, next time you fly into Dublin, they have the brewery there. For Guinness distillery.
Yeah, the factory. Yeah. My stepdaughter actually went there when she was she had a long layover in Dublin coming home, and she went there, and she's not even a beer drinker, and I heard it's pretty. She said it was pretty cool. Yeah. They
have like a little rooftop bar where it overlooks the city and stuff. So
no kidding.
We'll definitely be hitting that up next time we go.
And that's another part of the country to look at too, man. When you're talking about golf.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You could just stay in Dublin and you could bang out,
Royal
the
Dublin.
Island Club and European and Port Marnock, and man, you'd never have to leave Dublin, and then you'd have ridiculous nightlife if you were staying in Dublin.
Yeah. Especially go out, party every night, play golf. Of course, I can do that now. No,
I can't anymore.
I'm 26 and I can't do that. So college days are over for sure.
Yeah.
So you're a Tom Brady fan? Is he friend or foe?
I cheer for the front of the jersey, as they say. So, I'm a Patriots fan first, and I was not heartbroken that Tampa lost their last 2 games. And not solely because he's there, I've just never been a fan of building all-star teams and just trying to win, by bringing in a bunch of stars. I mean, if you can do it like they did last year, more power to you. But I've always been a fan of the
Nitty-gritty.
teams like the Tampa Bay Rays, who would come out of nowhere and all of a sudden wind up in the World Series.
Well, like the Patriots have been the past 15, 20 years.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, and then he finally went out this year, Belichick, and broke the bank with the free agents, and some of them are working out pretty well. I mean, Hunter Henry, I think, is playing unbelievable, and Matthew Judon they got from Baltimore, the edge rusher is he's unbelievable.
Yeah, I love the quarterback at New England right now. I was
Mac Jones.
Yeah, I was an Alabama fan growing up, so I always kind of keep up with them. And I think Mac has, one of the most accurate arms there is. And he could be really special one day. So we'll see.
He's in the right system too. I'll tell you, there's a lot of talk up here on Boston Sports Radio. How would one of the four that picked before him fare if they fell to the Patriots? And how would he fare if he was the quarterback in, say, Jacksonville or Chicago right now? And everybody said there's no way he'd be as good as he is right now if he was in Jacksonville, Chicago, the Jets. It was the perfect player for the perfect system.
Yeah. So what about baseball? Are you a Red Sox?
I'm a Red Sox fan, but in a previous life, I actually worked for the Tampa Bay Rays back in the mid 2000s, including the year we went to the World Series. And so it was funny when I moved back home. My friends who I'd stayed in contact with and I got together when I moved back here. If the Rays were playing the Red Sox, I'd be cheering for the for the Rays. Yeah. And they would say to me, "How can you cheer for the Rays and not the Red Sox?" I said, "You know what? The Red Sox never wrote me one paycheck."
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love my Red Sox. 2004, I'll never forget it. I was living in Orlando at the time, and I was at a Boston sports bar, and when they made the last out, I literally just sat in my chair for about 30 seconds and just couldn't say anything, couldn't do anything. I was just in a state of shock for about 30 seconds that they actually won.
So what happened with the World Series this year with them playing Houston? I didn't really keep up with that. I'm a Braves fan myself, so ended up well for us. But did you get to watch much of the games?
I did. And I just think the Red Sox seem to. Well, first of all, I don't think they had the rotation to win. Once Eddie Rodriguez, who just signed with Detroit, I think very hit or miss. He can throw a gem like he did against Houston, and then he can get laid out in his next start. But Chris Sale wasn't healthy, I don't think, at all. He tried to gut it out. So you really had Evaldi and everybody else. So I think they were like, I'm an older guy, and I remember the Red Sox of the 70s, and the way that they tried to win this year, or were forced to try to win, was the way those teams tried to win, which was just let's try to out home run people, and win. Back in the 70s when they had Jim Rice and Tony Armas and Carl Yastrzemski and Carlton Fisk, that's all they did. They just tried to hit more home runs than the other team and hope that they could do it.
Yeah, it was a struggle for almost all the teams leading up to the World Series with starting pitchers, because in the World Series, I think there was a total of like 2 each team of starters. Right. And then the rest of the games were picking relievers together and trying to get 2 or 3 innings out of some guys. And it was an interesting World Series for sure. We only had our starter Morton got hurt the first game. So he was done for like first inning. So it was definitely an interesting World Series, but I like when you said that you can't out home run a team, because that's exactly what the Braves did. Right. I swear we were hitting like 3. But
you have to have some pitching too, and you guys had some pitching.
Yeah, our relievers really did come in clutch. So, and
speaking of the Braves, by the way, the bartender I told you about earlier with the Guinness, her son is Sean Newsom, who pitches, who's been up and down with the Braves.
Wow. Okay, that's random and really cool.
All right. Well, we don't get a ton of baseball players that come out of Massachusetts. Obviously, we get our fair share of guys in the NHL and a few linemen in the NFL, but BC will pop out a couple of guys every once in a while. But for the most part, we don't get a ton of baseball players that make it out of here.
All right. Well, Joe, it's been a great time talking with you. I loved all your stories of Ireland. I hope you have a great time in Scotland. I appreciate you being on with us.
No problem. Had a ton of fun, and I will tell everybody out there, go to Ireland.
And use Royal Lynx Golf Tours.
There you go.
We'll be waiting for the tweet.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
And, and you said next, obviously we're talking about it now, but next Wednesday morning it comes out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wednesday morning, 5 a.m. And it's every week. It comes out at 5 a.m. We'll post it out and
great. And send me a link as well, and I'll make sure I blast it out.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Travel Worldly Podcast. It was a blast talking with Joe Fellini about his trip to Ireland and his future trip to Scotland. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like, subscribe, and follow button, and share this video. I really appreciate y'all tuning in. Every Wednesday morning, we have a new guest. I hope to see you next week. Thank you.